Alright folks, I'm going to make some square vases, sort of slip cast square bases with a thrown round top. So the first thing to do is to slip cast the square. So I've got this slip here, it needs quite a bit to fill these up. 100 gallons of slip in this big barrel, so just fill all these up. Now what happens with these is, once you fill them up, the plaster mould absorbs some of the water from around the edge, and then you're left with like a skin of clay. And then in about 2 hours, when I tip these out, I'll show you, you'll be left with like probably about 1 centimetre thickness of clay. So anyway, I'll get on and fill the rest of these up, leave them a couple of hours, and then I'll tip them out and show you. Well, hi folks, I've left these in now for 2 hours, and as you can see, the slips, the moulds absorb some of the moisture from the slip, and if you can see this sort of bead, well, that's the thickness of the pot now. So it's just a matter of tipping them out and then leaving them overnight. So I've emptied all the slip out, just let it drain for a second, and then if I show you that, that's what you're left with. That's the thickness of the pot. So if I leave this to dry overnight now, it should come away from the mould, and I can just remove it in the morning. When it shrinks back a little bit, I'll be able to pull it out of the mould, and then we'll start putting the pot together. Right, so the next thing is to throw the top for the pot, which I'm going to stick onto the square base. So I've got quite a big bat because it's going to have to be quite wide. So what I'm going to do with this is I need to stretch it out quite wide. So I'll just do that by squeezing out, stretching it out so it's wide enough to fit onto the top of the pot. I know it's just about 1 inch short on the width of the bat. Now to throw the sort of top of it, I'm going to put my fingers in, I'm going to go right through to the bat, obviously, so it can go into the pot. Stretch out a bit underneath, and then just throw the top. I want to get it to a certain size so it's sort of in, it's a little bit big, but as long as it's not wider than the base, then it's not out of proportion. So that's the top thrown. So the next thing is to stick all the bits together to make the final pot. Well hi folks, it's the next morning now, and as you can see the mould's absorbed some of the moisture from the slip, from the clay, and I should be able to just ease this square pot out. It doesn't matter if I bend it, I can straighten it up afterwards, so there you go. And because it's slightly tapered, the mould, it'll come out dead easily. So that's the first one out. I'll just tidy that up and then we'll stick it together. So now it's just a matter of time, a matter of sticking all the top onto the base. So I've got some slip here, I'm just going to put loads of slip on the top. Just dabbing loads of slip on. And then I'll just grab the top, just plonk the top on and line it up centrally so it's even all the way around. I'll just squeeze it on. Just to give it some, just to attach it a bit. And then to cut all the excess bits off, I'm going to use this little tool. It's just like a needle tool that sits flush with the pot, and then I can just slide that through like so, and that'll just roughly cut the excess off. And then what I'll do with another flat piece of metal, I'll just scrape it over to smooth the joint off. Quite quick once you get to the hang of it. And then I'm just going to slightly nip the corners off just to give it a slightly sloped effect, and then just tidy the tops up like so. And then finally I'm just going to use a sponge to just sponge over the edges, smooth them off. Like so. And that's it really, just about. That's the last bit to do. So that's a square pot with a throne top. Now if you're into your slab building, you can slab build the base, but like I say, it's too time consuming for me really, and it'd be too expensive to sell. So that's a square pot.